Hi, so as you can probably see from Notre Dame in the background, I'm in Paris right now. I came to see a demonstration, a march of people who are patriotic and really care about Paris and about France and wanted to kind of talk about their identity and promote their identity as Parisians walking through Paris. Because it's a bit more dramatic in appearance than anything we have going on in the UK, I wanted to come have a look. I also speak French, so it worked for me to come to this. I will have more footage in this video where you will see that they have a lot of dramatic things going on, like flaming torches, a lot of loud chants. It was all very interesting, and there were also some Antifa counter-protesters, so it made for a really interesting evening. Just to say, I had a good time. I know I put online before that somebody had attacked me, but I'm actually fine. So I will talk more about that in terms of the attitudes of the different sides later in a bit of voiceover. But just to begin the video, please appreciate Notre Dame. Isn't it really gorgeous now that it's being rebuilt? It's not quite finished yet, but it's close, and we're just treated to the bells. They're gorgeous, and I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to come to Paris to see a really interesting event and also appreciate some of the beautiful architecture, because this really is a gorgeous city.
The meeting point for the start of the march was down by the river, really near Notre Dame, which you can see in this footage. The event was organised by Paris Fierté, which means Paris Pride, and that obviously doesn't translate well into English because this march has nothing to do with pride parades or LGBTQ activism. It's a completely separate thing. The group's Instagram page describes it as an association for the promotion of Parisian identity, and the event's name, Marche de la Fierté Parisienne, would translate as Parisian Pride March, but again it means pride in being Parisian. This was the 22nd annual march in honour of Sainte Geneviève, which is actually pretty difficult for English people to say, so I apologise for my accent, but she's normally known as Saint Genevieve or Saint Guinevere in English, and she's the patron saint of Paris. Catholics believe that she saved Paris from the invading Huns in the year 451, so during the march, participants thanked her for her protection back then and asked her to protect the city and its inhabitants today.
How many stickers have you got?
Only one sheet. I gave them all to Paul. Yeah, I gave it to Paul.
I was filming earlier and this guy started shouting at me because I got him in his videos, and now he's turned up. He's probably going to shout at me again for recording him. So they're just setting up for the march now. We've got quite a big crowd here. Loads of people from all over Europe, from Denmark, obviously France, various areas of France, all over the country really. Germans as well. I think I've run into even a guy from Morocco, which is quite interesting. And they were right here, as you can see, there's Notre Dame. So we are right on the banks of the Seine, right in the centre of the town, and ready to start the march soon. There's a lot of police here for the march. They had to coordinate with the police just like in England, but there's a whole massive line of vans here, just like tons and tons and tons of police. It goes all the way down the street. It's actually kind of insane just how many police there are. Still going. Still more police. Mental.
Estimates for the number of participants ranged from about 800 to 1,000, which is quite an impressive turnout, especially considering there was actually another march going on this evening of royalists who were honouring the French King Louis XVI, who was killed during the Revolution, and I saw some media reports mixing the two of these up, which is an understandable mistake because they were both marches full of young people on the same evening in the same city, and to be honest there was probably some overlap between the kind of people who would have wanted to attend both of them because they were both quite Catholic in nature, obviously, and I hope you can see from this footage just how many people there really were at the march, and yeah, I was really impressed with the number of people because this was a really big event. One thing I really noticed was how different the French right-wing demonstration scene is to in the UK. As I hope you can see in this footage, this crowd was very young and pretty well dressed. From speaking to people who regularly attend these kind of events, they told me this is generally how they dress for this sort of thing. And in the UK, obviously, we have the unflattering gammon stereotype associated with right-wing events and protests, but that just wouldn't apply here at all.
Basically means Paris is ours, the real people of Paris, so people who've been here a long time rather than people who've recently moved to Paris, like I suppose the more sort of hipster, bohemian, middle class bourgeois types, and also more recent immigration waves as well. So this is basically saying we're real Parisians. They're also chanting other things during this march, like Paris, Paris, Patrie, which is like Paris, Paris homeland, I believe. I think that was the chant. And also Saint Genevieve with us, which is just a call to the saint.
Allez, une dernière fois. Allez, on va lever les mains, on va lever les mains, on va lever les mains, s'il vous plaît.
The march is getting quite a lot of attention, obviously, from people as it's walking through the streets. There are a lot of people, as you can see here, looking out of their windows, people at bars as well. I talked to a couple of people who were in one of the bars, who were whistling and making booing noises, and they told me they don't like this kind of thing because it's the extreme far right. They say this is the real far right and it's making a return in France, and they're not very happy about it. They also told me when I said, oh, we don't really have this kind of thing, when they insisted it was really far right in England, I said we don't really have any fans of the painter in England, it's not really a thing. Someone insisted to me that Farage is in fact that, and then he followed me down the street a little bit. So I haven't had any negative interactions with anybody involved in the march, but I have had one older man who seemed okay to talk to, but then maybe I shouldn't have talked to him because he followed me down the street a little bit after giving me his very strong opinions. But it's good also to talk to some of the people who aren't involved, just to see how they feel about it, and it seems a little bit unpopular, if I'm honest, based on the reaction on the street. Oh, I can see the man now, actually. This man is still following the march, so I'll see if I can flip my camera in a moment and get some video of him.
Alors on va chanter Parisiens, détends-toi, tu es ici, chez toi. 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 Parisiens, détends-toi, tu es ici,
So I was just walking along recording some of the counter-protesters, and one of them actually shoved me. So I haven't had any violence from anyone involved in the far-right march. They've all been very pleasant to me. Yet I have seen only a few people protesting against it. I'll include the video here. And one of them shoved me, so make that what you will.
Antifascisti!
march finished in a square named after the saint, and there were some speeches and prayers on the steps of the church where her relics are. You might have noticed there were some white armbands on people walking alongside the march throughout this footage, so I'll just explain those now. These were used to mark out who the stewards and authorised media were, and this really helped keep the event peaceful because it meant that anyone who turned up to cause trouble, had a problem with the march, was easy to identify and quickly moved away from the march. It would have also probably contributed though to the counter-protesters being able to identify me and pick me out as being associated with the march, because obviously I visibly had a mark on me, so that is probably why somebody laid their hands on me. But overall I do think it was a really good idea, and you could tell from the way that people managed the crowd that they were experienced and knew exactly what they were doing to keep things peaceful. And also on that note, the police afterwards escorted everybody down to the riverbank after the march. I believe this is because of Antifa being in the area. So Antifa were having a demonstration nearby, and I also heard from multiple people that in Paris it's common for Antifa to wait for people to disperse from more right-wing protests and attack them when they're in twos or threes or by themselves. So I believe that would be why the police escorted everyone out of the area first before letting them leave. There were a lot of people hanging around, clearly waiting and hoping for people to leave the crowd. So it took quite a while for the protest to actually finish at the end. But overall, for the most part, I think the crowd management was very, very good. And the only reason that anybody laid hands on me was because I got quite close to the counter-protesters. So it's not my fault, but it's in a way to be expected. So that was my experience at the Marche de la Fierté Parisienne. If you enjoy this kind of content covering protests and marches and that sort of thing, please do subscribe, because I'll be uploading similar videos here on quite a regular basis. Thank you for watching.